Hey gang, what's happening? Took a week off and I am really glad to be back. It's kind of get back in the swing of things a little bit. So we're going to have a good discussion today. I want to tell you some things that I bought and something that I sold. And all that was while I was off on vacation. So you just never take a vacation from the market. And one reason is I just love it so much, man. It is a vacation to me. So I just wanted to kind of share this stuff with you, but more importantly, I want to hear what you guys are going after. I've seen a lot of activity around a certain stock, so I wanted to hear what you guys have going on, and then we can talk about the economic reports for the week. What's coming up, and what should we be looking for? So just thought I would start with that. So let's see who all is on the program tonight. We don't have very many. We got about 9 at the moment, but we have Pat who is joining us. Welcome, Pat. We got Steve C. And we got Rust Moments. He says, I wonder if he bought Nike. And I will go ahead and do a spoiler alert that says I did not buy Nike. So, I mean, it's attractive, but it's not something that I'm interested in at the moment. So Steve's saying hi, or Pat's saying hi to Steve. Pat's saying, "Hey, everybody's buying Nike," and I think that's right. I mean, it's certainly at a decent price, but who knows? It's just not something that my Whoops, I'm throwing my camera around here. It's not something that my portfolio is interested in. Good evening to Brad Durfee. Welcome, my friend. Thanks for joining. Greg is in the house, and Kevin Mendoza. We do have 2 Kevins now, so that's good. One more, and we are at a quorum. Jim Betts is on the program. Welcome, Jim. It's good to see you. Jim has been posting a lot of stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. If you haven't checked out what Jim's got going on, you should do that. Jim's got a good perspective on things, and I think you'll enjoy that. So we got Greg says, hopefully you weren't sipping on the goofy juice, then decided to go hog wild on buys and sells. I think the goofiest I got was some coffee, so that's not too bad, I guess. But I didn't go too crazy. I think, and I want to share with you why. And it looks like I already have my screen up here. I didn't realize I had left it up there. But hey, before I go any further, some of you were confused last week. I posted a video that would air at the time we normally had the live stream, and I thought that was like really cool. But then I realized that I used the same thumbnail format that I normally use for the Wealth Circuit Investing Hour. So you saw that format, you clicked on it thinking it was live. Hey, that's my fault. I'll take one for the team, but I'm glad you clicked on it anyway. And hopefully you liked the video. Let me know also if you liked that video on the margin of safety. I found that to be a fascinating read and a fascinating book. I learned a lot from it. So I wanted to kind of get some feedback from you guys on that. So let me get rid of that for the moment. All right, Slammer 6789 is in the house. Welcome, my friend. All right, we got Kevin Mendoza is saying that he bought some A.O. Smith and Raytheon, or RTX, I guess is what they go by now, today. So that's good stuff, man. The Cookie Monster is in the house. I haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Welcome to the program. And Eli finally caught a live stream, so that is awesome. I'm glad you're here. And then we'll go with John J., and then we'll kind of get into what we're going to talk about tonight. That's not allowed to take one for the team. We got to take full responsibility for that, and don't let it happen again. Absolutely. I'm gonna have more edited videos moving forward, so I'm gonna have a different thumbnail for the live stream than what I'm gonna have in the edited videos. So you'll be able to visually tell them apart when you click on them. You'll know that, one is a live stream and one is an edited video. Some people enjoy the edited videos more, and I do too, to be honest with you. But I enjoy doing the live videos more, if that makes sense. So anyway, here we go. Let me go ahead and put this back up on the screen. I'll take John off the screen so you can see me and my cowboy hat from Wyoming. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of this picture. But what I want to talk about tonight is, what did I buy? What did I sell? More importantly, why did I do that? What economic reports are coming out this week, and what's on your radar? So let's get started. So what did I buy and sell? I started with the sell this week, and I went ahead and sold out of Cummins. And I've had Cummins for quite a while now. Just a little bit of history. I started this portfolio in 2021. That was when I retired. I just spilled water on me, but I need to take a drink. So in 2021, I retired and set up this portfolio that we're talking about here. And I began moving money into that portfolio, began to build this whole idea of dividend investing, dividend growth investing, and trying to figure out, how to kind of make that work. Started the YouTube channel maybe a year later or so. And that was really helpful because it helped me to describe to you guys what I was doing, and it helped me kind of make it better in the process of describing it. So I've had Cummins ever since, I think, early on in that process. But, I think I had my average cost was below $200. So, it was just time for me to sell that. There's they've had a changeover in CEOs. The former CEO to me was a visionary. I'm hoping the new CEO gets to that same visionary status, but I'm not really sure yet. So I just went ahead and exited that. CMI is cyclical by nature. So hopefully, if it runs up some more, then maybe I'll catch it on the next downturn. So that's really why I got out of Cummins. I still like the company. I believe in the company. I sold probably half the shares at $2.99, and I went ahead and exited the position at $2.70, roughly $2.70. So, made a lot of money on it. So who can fault me for that, right? All right, the next one is a buy. The rest of them are buys. I bought U.S. Bank. I know that's not a shock for you guys that know me. Bought it at 39.345. And I'm going to show you a spreadsheet here in a minute that'll really, I think, kind of bring home why I'm buying what I'm buying. Secondly is Lamb Weston. I bought 200 shares at 82.355. Well, let me sneak over and no, I'll catch that in a minute. I'm going to show you my third buy. That way I can get rid of this screen and we can go into some other stuff. So Lamb Weston, remember, I'll come back to that. And then RTX, I think somebody bought some RTX. Let me see, who was that? That was Kevin Mendoza. So, hey, great Kevins think alike, right? So we both ended up buying some RTX. And so why did I buy RTX? RTX is a little bit light in my portfolio. I think it was around 1.8% or so. I wanted to go ahead and begin getting that up in my portfolio. It had been trading around 105, 106, and I think it was Daryl. I don't see him on the broadcast tonight, but I think it was Daryl who said, "Hey, there is some seasonality around RTX, and June, July." August, they seem to not trade as high as they do other times of the year. And so, I took that and I said, you know what? I think I will wait to buy more RTX. So after it was 105, 106, and then dropped down below 100, and I went ahead and snapped up some more shares. So that's where I'm at on that. Will it go down from here? I don't know. If it does, I'll buy some more. But I think RTX, according to Morningstar, is valued around $115. So I figure I got a 15 or so percent discount on those shares, and I am happy with that. So let me show you guys what I've been playing around with, and I was playing around with this today, but I'll go ahead and show it to you. It's not ready for prime time, but I'm gonna do some videos on this spreadsheet that I'm working on, and I'm really excited about it actually. So let me go ahead and stop that one. I'm gonna present a different window, and it's gonna be this one right here. Can you guys see that? Okay, so this spreadsheet, as you can tell, it's got about, I don't know, 34, 35 different stocks. I'm going to show you 5 in here, and I'm going to show you kind of what I've been playing around with in this this portfolio of mine. And so my real goal, my long-term goal, is to actually build an Excel spreadsheet that is a portfolio tool that's going to be different than what what else is out there on the market. And I'm really doing it for me. I may offer it to some of my support group or something, but this is not going to be for sale or anything. It's just something that I want to build. So anyway, so what I look at for US Bancorp is that they are undervalued according to Morningstar by 26%. Lamb Weston is undervalued by 27%. So if I consider their undervalue plus their yield plus some percentage for dividend growth, and that's the piece that I've still got to work through in my head. But if I look at what they're, and I'm using a 5-year for the dividend growth. So if I look for the appreciation to come back from their undervalued, if I look for the yield for 1 year at 5%, this is for US Bancorp, and a dividend growth rate, 5-year growth rate of 8%, I'm looking at an expected return on that of 39%. So that really gets me excited for US Bancorp. Also, very similar story for Lamb Weston. Their yield is about 2%, but they are significantly undervalued according to Morningstar. So boom, 36% there. And then there's the next one in the list is not really RTX, but it is the one that I wanted to add more to the portfolio. But you can see that it's calculating around a 24%. So I could live with all of those. You can see also why I sold Cummins. It's about 10% overvalued according to Morningstar. And if I look at the total expected return, it is about a 0%. And then last but not least, a question I want to throw out to you guys. Another stock that I've had for a long time, and I bought it, as you can see here, as an income play is, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, is IBM. And IBM, I bought it for the dividend, and it has just run up like crazy. And Morningstar hasn't really changed the value of it very much. So it's trading at a 28% premium to its fair value, according to Morningstar. So the dividend growth is not 10%, though. That is probably more like 1%. I don't know where that came from. So we're looking at it looks to be overvalued. I got a 4% yield, a very slow dividend growth. I'm considering dropping IBM from the portfolio. I have sold some of it off, but I'm looking to sell some IBM. I want to get your thoughts on that too. Let me know if I'm crazy or if that makes decent sense. And I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys tonight on this portfolio. Yeah, I don't see anything else. So that's what I did, why I did it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off the screen. Now let's get to your stuff. Then we'll come back and hit the economic piece. Oh, there's some news as well that I think you're going to want to see from Simply Safe Dividends. But let's get some of this, some of these comments in here. So Eli says the video was great. Great. Thanks for that feedback, man. I worked hard on that video, and it really was impactful for me. So Jim says hitting the midstream energy plays, ET, ENB, and EPD doesn't hold a candle to your 100 shares of RTX. That's okay, man. Because we do what we do, right? And we can't. It doesn't really do us any good at all. It doesn't do me any good to compare my portfolio with somebody else. And there's several reasons for that. One is everybody's at a different place, right? The second one is everybody has different goals. And so one of the reasons that I say I'm just sharing what I'm doing here, I don't share this so that you will do what I do, because you are the only one who knows what they need to be doing and what their long-term goals are. And if there's something that I'm doing that kind of plays into that and it works for you, that's great. But if not, then, move on. It didn't cost you anything, right? All right. Oh, another midstream play that I would throw in this mix is HESM. But I mean, it looks like we might have missed that. It's trading pretty high again. So they issue some shares to the public every now and then, Hess Midstream. And it's not that these shares are not part of the share count. They just have some that are on the public market and some that are in a private market. And so they'll take sometimes those private shares and move them into the public. So it doesn't impact the company at all, doesn't impact their earnings or any earnings per share. So the price earnings ratio doesn't change. It just looks like there's a lot more shares on the market. And so sometimes investors get freaked out about that. So anyway. So what's your plans for the coming sessions to protect your portfolio? I think you meant recession. Yeah, coming recession. I that's a great question. So let's sit back and get a drink of water and talk about that for a second. I was listening to Morningstar's. They have a weekly call or weekly, I guess, YouTube video. And if you don't watch that, I would highly recommend it. It's really good. It's with Dave Sakarian, who's, one of their analysts. And he seems to think that, and Morningstar seems to think that we're not going to have a recession. So, but I think, John, what I'm doing to protect my portfolio is, I'll throw this out as well. It probably is not good to tell you what I'm thinking because I may or may not do it. But I am considering reducing my exposure to companies like NVIDIA. I have an ETF called SOXX, and it's currently 4.5% of my portfolio. I'm considering backing that down a little bit, and because if there's a recession, I think it's going to hit those kinds of companies first. It'll probably hit the retail folks. I don't own any retail, so I'm really kind of set up for the recession to begin with. So that's kind of what I'm doing, John. I don't know if that's helpful, but so Pat says he is buying Johnson & Johnson, Pepsi, and Bristol Myers Squibb. So those are good, man. Johnson & Johnson is a good play in my opinion. It's on my list as well, but I've got I think over 6% of my portfolio is Johnson & Johnson. So it's going to have to drop a bit for me to want to add some more. I got out of Pepsi. Their cash flow didn't look so good there for a while. They were borrowing money to pay the dividend for years on end, but somehow that's fixed itself, and I'm not really sure how. But so hopefully Pepsi does well, and Bristol Myers Squibb is perpetually undervalued. So at some point, at least people are saying that at some point it's got to come back up to value. So. Hey, thanks, Greg. Greg said this was a great video last week. I appreciate that, my friend. Always, this is Slammer 6789. Always appreciate your book references. My reading list continues to grow and grow. Mine does too. So I tell you what, though, if I have learned more by reading these books, and I will tell you this. Here's a secret, and hopefully this resonates with you. But if you read these books, whatever they are, your reading list, whatever that book is that you read, if you take notes on that and you try to explain it to somebody else, it makes whatever you've read really come to life. So it's almost like teaching it makes it more meaningful because you understand more. I'm learning that. That's one of the reasons I do these videos on the books that I read. So it's very helpful for me. Helps me kind of get my thoughts together in a way that is, that makes sense for someone else, and helps me put a story together and all of that. So I can remember things a lot better when that happens. So John J. Cummins diesel sold. So it ain't so. Say it ain't so, Kevin. Say it ain't so. Yes, it is. It is so, my friend. But the cool thing about it is, just because I sold it doesn't mean I won't buy it back at some point. Now, if it goes up above 300, then it'll be something I'll be sad about. But I just can't look back. You just got to do what you think's right. And I made a ton of money on Cummins. It's like a 50% return or something like that. So I can't be sad about that. The old saying, and Mr. Income and I were chatting about this the other day on the Discord. And if you're not a part of the Discord, it is free to join. There's a link in the comments to this video. But Mr. Income and I were talking about this saying, and it was a saying that I learned at work when I was working before I retired. But he said it comes from Jim Cramer. So I'm going to trust him on this, that this is Jim Cramer's saying, but that pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. So I think I'm just going to be a pig on CMI and not a hog. I don't want to get slaughtered. So there we go. Whatever that's worth. Yes, sir, Kevin. RTX, great minds think alike. That is awesome, man. So Slammer bought Johnson & Johnson. That seems to be a pretty good theme. Coca-Cola, Bristol Myers over the last couple of weeks. He's looking at RTX next. So those are some really good moves there. I haven't followed Coca-Cola much, but Warren Buffett likes it. So how bad can it be, right? All right. Frank V says he likes the IBM move. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm kind of thinking it makes sense. I mean, I've got to find another income play for that money. And, the IBM dividend now is like 3.8%. But when I bought it, it was like 5%, over 5%. So I've got to find a place for those funds. But, that's what I do. So I can certainly do that. Kevin says, I'm also buying IBM for their quantum computer exposure. Okay. Well, that's certainly a way to look at it as well. So, that could be. Yeah, who knows? So Pat is asking, is there an easy way to explain what P:*Tangbook is? And if I had any idea what it was, I would definitely give it a shot. But let me look and see if I can. Whoops! I'll get on. I've got 3 screens up, so let me Google that. P:*Tangbook. Is it like a foreign stock or something? Oh, is that price to tangible book value? Let me know if that's what that is, Pat. Maybe I was thinking it was a stock, but if it's price to tangible book value, then I think I can explain that. But just let me know before I go into that. Let me know if that's really what you want to know about, because it can be pretty dry. So Frank V says, hello, Kevin. Food stocks keep dropping. possible opportunity to add more. Yeah, I think I would wait a little bit. I mean, if you looked at General Mills last week, they did they gave their earnings, and the market didn't like it very much. I'm trying to remember what their issues were. I don't own General Mills, but I was looking at them to kind of get a sense for what the companies were doing, and I want to say that they're yeah, they were not able to pass through the pricing. They were not able to hold on to the pricing. So they're struggling with their sales revenues. And so I think that's going to be a bit of a problem for food, especially if the recession continues. Let me tie that in now with McDonald's and Lamb Weston. This um, inflation has really begun to hit the lower income users, and there's a big issue with that, and that's that there's certain companies that are tied in to the lower income, and McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, and Arby's, all of those are part of that. So that's why they have their value meals, right? So they've got their value meals. The inflation has hurt the value meals. Now McDonald's has begun to bring back the value meal. I think they got the $5 meal now. So that's helpful because I think that's going to pull French fry volume in from Lamb Weston. Lamb Weston is it's let me kind of full disclosure here. I began to invest in Lamb Weston, I don't know, about a month or so ago. It has done nothing but go down ever since I started buying into it. But I am not dissuaded with Lamb Weston. I really believe that in the long run, and maybe in the medium term, Lamb Weston is going to rebound. They're going to get the ERP system issue fixed, and these fast food companies are going to pull through volume of these French fries as they figure out this value meal again. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Kenvue, probably. Kenvue versus Johnson & Johnson, or I'm not sure what EXC. Oh, is that Exelon? Exelon versus other midstream, or Excel maybe? Xcel Energy. Let me know which ones those are. So yeah, Kenvue versus J&J. So I think maybe you're asking me my opinion of Kenvue versus J&J. I believe Kenvue is going to just sit where it is for a while. I don't think there's any growth potential there. I think it's a fine company to own if that's what you're looking to do and have that balance in your portfolio, shock absorber, so to speak. But if I'm buying J&J because of its potential growth, not only in the medical piece but also the medical devices. So that's why I'm buying J&J. I would pick J&J over Kenvue any day. You ask if they still have the lawsuits. Are they both affected? The lawsuits are still out there. They are still open. They are still being negotiated. It does not impact Kenvue because J&J released Kenvue from any liability for the talc lawsuits, and that's the big one, is the talc. So I think we've got I think is it $9 billion in nominal in discounted dollars, maybe 11 million in billion. I'm sorry, I'm saying million. 9 billion in discounted cash flow dollars and 11 billion in nominal dollars. It's what J&J has reserved for these lawsuits. I believe that's priced into the stock. There may even be a little more priced into the stock, but I think that's going to resolve itself. My guess would be it would happen this year, sometime in 2024, but we will see. You can't ever tell about the courts and how they're going to function and how quickly they're going to turn this stuff around. So yes, Johnson & Johnson still has the lawsuits, but not Kenvue. Miguel Fernandez, good evening, my friends. I'm late, but I'm here. It's good to see you, buddy. Glad you could join us. Hess versus EXC Midstreams. So EXC Midstream, is that I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not sure which one that is. Hess is actually HESM. HESM is the midstream piece of it, but let's see. EXC is Exelon. Let me know which one you're talking about, John Jay. I don't think Exelon has midstream assets. Exelon's a utility in the Midwest and Northeast, so I don't know if I can compare those. So anyway, so I won't. Let's see. What does Jim say? Looking at an ETF with a 0.42% expense ratio, is that out of line or is that at the acceptable ballpark? I would say it depends on what the ETF does. If it is an active managed ETF, I don't think that's terrible. I think it's a little on the high side. I think DGRO has 0.36 if my memory's right, and it may not be, but I mean, if it's an index ETF, I wouldn't pay 0.42. But if it's active and managed, it's not terrible. There may be better ones, but it's not a terrible expense ratio. Yeah, Rust Moments Shaping bought a Nike call today, which I found to be actually a pretty good play. Let's talk about that for a second. I don't do a lot of options, but I have done some. So what Rust Moments decided to do today is to buy a call on Nike for a strike price, and I think it was out in October timeframe. So you're talking about 4 or 5 months from now. So he basically has the option to buy Nike at some price between now and it expires in October. I think that's a good move. He had to pay $200 and something for it. Let's say $250 for it or so. and what that means is that if that ends up expiring worthless, then he basically just threw $250 away. But if not, he has the option to buy those shares, and I think that's actually a pretty good play. I'm looking forward to see how that plays out. So let's keep that on our radar as we move forward. I think that's going to be kind of fun to watch. So I think that's a good move, man. I haven't done anything like that, but it's not that I haven't considered it as well. Eli bought some SCHD, DGRO, SCHG, and HSY. Wow, threw some Hershey's in the midst of some ETFs. So that's good. It sounds like you got a good blend there. SCHD has had a struggle over the last, let's say, 3 years, just trying to keep up. If you compare SCHD and DGRO, there's just really no comparison. But it doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to be in the next 3 years. So I think SCHD, it has a decent place in the portfolio. I wouldn't overload the portfolio with it, but like I said earlier, I'm not you and you're not me, so you get to make the call for your own portfolio. But DGRO is one of my favorites. SCHG is the Schwab version of that. And Hershey, I think, is a good play as well. It's down around my cost basis. So I even considered adding a few shares of that, but I'm kind of where I want to be. I do want to add a little more Hershey. And so I may wait for it to actually go below my cost basis. Yeah, J&J growth is only 8% in 5 years, super low. I think that's the dividend growth that you're talking about. I have 95 shares, but I don't know if I want to buy any more. Just reinvested the dividends. Position is growing by itself. Yeah, so that's good. Let's go ahead and look that up, just so that. And I think you're right on Johnson & Johnson. Let's see here. Get to where I can share this screen. You guys love it when I pull up Simply Safe Dividends, right? So we'll do this, and let's pull up Johnson & Johnson, J&J. All right, so here's Johnson & Johnson. As you all know, it has a 99, very safe dividend rating. Let's take a look at its dividend growth. So we will go down to where it shows. Yeah, actually, the last 5 years is about 6%. Last 20 years is 8%. So yeah, it does not grow tremendously fast. But let me show you something, and this is kind of what I'm looking at. Let me get rid of some things here. Pardon me, guys. I will unhide that. I just want to get rid of some of the stuff in the spreadsheet so that it's not super confusing. All right. I'm about to bring you guys into it. I don't know about y'all, but if there's a lot of stuff in the spreadsheet, sometimes I get lost. So now I will stop sharing that, and I will share this. This is that spreadsheet I was looking at earlier. This is Johnson & Johnson in there. So, and again, I don't know where this dividend growth is coming from. Why do I have 16% in there? That's why I say it's not ready for prime time. That should say what we were looking at a while ago, which is, I think it was, 6%. So that should be 6%. All right, so I'm looking at that Johnson & Johnson's undervalued by 11%. It has about a 3% yield, and it's got a dividend growth of about 6%. Now, if you buy into the theory that dividend growth will add share value, yield is going to be paid to me in cash, and appreciation gets me to what the fair value is today for that stock. That's why I go ahead and use dividend growth. For those of you nerds who are like me, the appreciation, it seems like, gets me to today's fair value. And if I have a yield coming in the future, if I have dividend growth coming in the future, I think I would add that to that. So an expected return would be about 21%. So I'm not too sad about that either. So, I mean, so it's another way to look at it, right? It's another way to look at it. So I agree with you that the dividend growth is, I think it's really only 6% over 5 years. But, if I don't know if you, let me take a second to talk about total return, because to me, total return is much better to look at than just dividend growth or just yield, because we want total return. We have desires for our portfolio. Maybe we want some income, and so we can get the stocks that we want to provide that income, and we can find stocks who have great dividend growth. But if their business is not growing, then we really don't want them, right? So looking at total return helps us look at the total business, not just the dividend growth or not just the yield. Because, as well as I do, if you just look at yield, you can fall into a yield trap. If you just look at dividend growth, sometimes they will borrow the money to grow the dividend, and that's not good either. So you want the business to actually be driving the yield, and you want the business to be driving the dividend growth. So that's why I kind of look at it in a total return perspective. And I think that's the right way to look at it. So, but anyway, I appreciate where you're coming from. It is not going to set the world on fire, but I will tell you, let me go ahead and switch back over to this thing here. Sorry, guys, I'm going to hit you again with SimpliSafe Dividends. One of the things that people, dividend growth investors love about Johnson & Johnson is that line right there. I mean, you don't get much more consistency in dividend growth than what you're seeing in Johnson and Johnson. So, that's another way to look at it. So there's all kinds of ways to kind of look at this, and I appreciate your view on that, and that might be the right thing for your portfolio. Eli says, kind of a Hershey homer, though. Does that mean you're in Pennsylvania? I think there's a town called Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I think you've even mentioned that before. Oh, the $1 million question. And welcome to the program, J. Oliveira. Oliveira. Maybe it's J. Oliveira. But anyway, welcome to the program. Do you still own Whirlpool and Stanley Black & Decker? I own both, but bigger fan of Stanley Black. They will be back. Yeah, you're right, my friend. I think my buddy R.A. Gutman says that. So, so I sold out of my Whirlpool, and I did that probably at the, I sold some of it at around 120, and then I sold the rest of it about a month ago. I just felt that with the economy the way that it is, I just didn't see them. I saw them with a higher percentage chance of reducing their dividend. So I wanted to go ahead and exit before that happened. And, there's some rumor out there that a company is going to purchase them maybe. So that's a rumor. I haven't seen that hit the press, but I have seen the rumor out there, and that causes the stock to jump actually right after I sold it. But, it is what it is. But I'm with you, Jay Oliveira, on Stanley. I think Stanley will be back. I do have probably about 2.5% of the portfolio in Stanley. So I think it's worth holding on to. I think they've got great brands, and I think at some point they will come back. We'll see, though. I mean, I'm looking at them every quarter, right? I deep dive into Stanley Black & Decker every quarter. I love their management team. I think they really have a lot of good things going on. And so I'm going to stay with Stanley, at least for now. And I'll certainly let you guys know if that changes. Russ, my friend Russ, is on the program. He said he just started reading The Algebra of Wealth by Scott Galloway. I don't think I've ever heard of that. So thanks, Russ, for putting a book on my list. So I'm going to put that in this thing here, the Algebra of Wealth. Never heard of it. But let me know if you think it's any good. Let's see, what else do we have here? Samar the Gamer. Awesome, man. How are you doing? Great content. Watch your videos regularly. Hey, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. And as you guys know, I have a very small channel, and it's really not a financial reason for me to do these things. I do it because it helps me, and I do it because I'm hoping that if it helps me, it helps you. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it gives me, some more motivation to keep going, keep doing what I'm doing. Let's see here. Joe Zamora, it's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for the video. You are more than welcome. It's a rating from Seeking Alpha. So this is going back to Pat's question about the P to Tange book. So let me talk about that for just 1 second. And if you're a nerd, you'll love this. If you're not, it might be time to go get a drink out of the fridge. But tangible book value is are the assets of a company that are tangible. And what do I mean by that? There are intangible assets like patents and contracts and things like that. Or goodwill is usually a huge one. So those are intangible assets. So if you strip away all that intangible stuff, you end up with tangible stuff like cash, like accounts receivable, like your property, plant, and equipment. So it is your tangible assets. So when businesses, or when like Seeking Alpha uses a price to tangible book value, they're actually looking at the tangible assets of a company, and they're saying what's the price compared to what the book value would be for the assets that it actually owns. I find price to book value or tangible book value to be more relevant in the financial realm, like with banks, than I do with industrial companies or companies with assets that have been around for a while. And why is that? I think receivables, payables, cash, all that stuff are good tangible asset values. But if you have a lot of property, plant, and equipment, let's take a utility for instance, you're going to be depreciating that property over time. And let's take real estate. Let's take buildings. If it's a maybe it's a ETF that is a REIT, right? Like a KRC or somebody like that. If they own these buildings, those buildings sometimes will appreciate in value, not depreciate in value. So you kind of get a mixed message there about what's going on. So just be careful when to use price to tangible book value. I think it is much more meaningful in the financial realm because financial assets can be easily determined through market prices or things like that. So I think that's kind of the way to look at it. So my buddy Russ sold a few shares of AT&T and bought more Nike. Awesome. Yeah, we talked about Nike a little bit earlier. So I'm glad to hear you're selling some more of that AT&T, my friend. That's that dividend is really attractive, and I owned AT&T for a little while, but it just, I don't think it's going to do anything anytime soon. So, all right, okay. Greg's saying that Russ, it'll make the okay, yeah. All right, that sounds good, Greg. Let's see. And then my buddy Russ says it's Monday night, so no beer for him. I'm going to skip through some of this. Okay, John Jay is back. He says, yes, sorry, meant Exelon versus any other utility, let's say PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. I think that is out in California. Yeah, I think, Exelon's a fine utility. PG&E is a fine utility. I think PG&E has a lot of potential risk because of, very similar to Hawaii, where they had, the fires and things like that. They have, pretty similar terrain that they deal with. So if there's a major fire, they could be, at risk for having caused that major fire. So I think that's certainly a risk that we need to play at least understand. Exelon doesn't have that same kind of territory, but I think my favorite utilities are Pinnacle West, PNW out of Arizona, and NEE, NextEra Energy, not NextEra Partners, but NextEra Energy out of Florida. And probably a third would be WEC, Wisconsin Electric. So those are my favorite utilities. But Exelon's fine. It's just I don't see it having a lot of growth, to be honest. So that's my perspective anyway. All right, Miguel says my best performing ETF has been SPYG, and that would make sense. It's a growth ETF, so that's good stuff, man. Good to hear that. Eli, yes, he does live near Hershey, so that's good to know. So, John J., do you believe Kraft Heinz, having been beaten down, may be a growth stock in the next few years? I think from what I've heard, now I don't track Kraft Heinz, but from what I have heard, the management team seems to be getting back on track. There was a period of time when they spun off. I think they spun off from who was it? Altria. I think Altria spun them off. They had a period of time where they were sacrificing the future. They were sacrificing research and development for the current quarter's earnings, and it really hurt them. And my understanding is that the management team has been turning that around. So yeah, I think KHC could be something that might be a dark horse. So let's we're about 50 minutes. So let's go ahead and look at. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the economic stuff. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys the latest news from SimpliSafe Dividends. Let's put that on the screen. So here you go, John Jay. I'm going to remove you. So they have reduced Walgreens Boots Alliance, WBA, from a 30, which is unsafe, to a 20, which is very unsafe. They are downgrading Walgreens Boots Alliance. No big surprise, but I thought I would share that with you. Looks like they have already reduced their dividend. But anyway, what is left is currently unsafe, very unsafe, according to SimpliSafe Dividends. So I think that is important information, and I wanted to share that with you. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's go into this. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. What am I doing? There we go. Okay, now let's take a look at that's news. Oh, I know where it is. It's in tools. Economic calendar. This is TipRanks. If you don't have TipRanks, and it's something that you might want to try out, if you try it out and you want to get it, you can use the link in the comment to this video. I think you get a 50% discount by using that link. So here we go. I'm going to limit this info to today and this week. I'll just say this week. And we're going to go with the 3 stars. These are the most impactful. So we can see that on Thursday, we're going to get the inflation reports on Thursday. That'll come out about 7:30, which is probably 8:30 Eastern. And then on Friday, we're going to get the producer price, the PPI index, and consumer confidence as well on Friday. So I think those will be good to look at. The inflation is obviously a big deal. If inflation comes in, this is my viewpoint, if inflation comes in and it is higher than expected, I think that's not going to bode well for the market. If it's kind of where they expect it to be, I think that it's going to be, a nothing burger. And then if it comes in lower, then I think it might actually cause the market to jump. So I think those are the major things this week. I don't think the producer price inflation is going to do much, but if it's way out of whack, it might. But it's really more the predictor of the future, because it is the producer price index, not the consumer price index. So, and I think that is the economic stuff. So okay, all the news is out of the way. Let me get back to here, and we have ex-dividend dad is in the house. J&J baby. So evidently my friend ex-dividend dad loves J&J. He sold out of AT&T this week down to 263 shares. So I don't know what it was, what he had to begin with, but he definitely has reduced his shares of AT&T. So good job, man. I think that is a good move for someone of your age and stature. So. All right, Kevin Mendoza. Maybe your new outro song can be the famous Mr. Ed Show song. That's true. Now that I'm back from vacation, I'm gonna really start playing around with that. Ex-dividend dad was giving me some grief about maybe dancing in my bee suit. So Who knows? I may do something kind of crazy like that. Who knows? Samar the gamer, RTX or NEE? Wow, that's a tough one. I would say right now, at this moment, now, so full disclosure, I own both of them. At this moment, I think RTX is the better deal. I think RTX is undervalued by about 15%. NEE is actually more around fair value. And so I think, it's had quite the run up. I'll take a look real quick. So I started buying NEE about, I don't know, 2 months or so ago. And it is already, so I am already up 21% on NextEra Energy. Is there room to move? Probably. Let's take a look. Let's see what the analysts say on NEE. I don't have the right thing picked out here. All right, here we go. NEE. And I know you guys can't see this, but yeah, so the analysts off of TipRanks say that there is, here, I'll show it to you. You can see here, this is NEE is right here. You can see that the analysts say that there is a 9.64% upside. This is another thing I like about TipRanks is that it has the analyst price targets. So when I look and I say, hey, I'm buying Lamb Weston, they say it's got a 35% upside. So that's exciting. They also say that GGG has a 21% upside. So we'll just have to see how all that works. J&J, they think, has 20% upside. So, wow, it's pretty cool. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. All right. Yeah, here we go. Ex-Dividend Dad, he should outro in a beekeeping suit dancing. Kevin, didn't you own ATO as well? Yes, I still own ATO. It's actually, let me see. I'll do a real quick look. ATO. Trying to find where I can see what it is as a percentage of my portfolio, but I think it's around. Why do I even need to guess? Because I'm just going to tell you. ATO. Yeah, it is a. Sorry, guys. Yield on cost. When you have a lot of data, it's hard to kind of get it all. Percent of the portfolio, about 2.3%. So I consider it to be a dividend growth stock. And so I'm going to hold that for maybe forever. It is a dividend growth stock. It is doing very well. And I do plan to hold on to that. And, if it dropped in value, I might buy some more even. I mean, 2.3 is kind of a normal weight for me. So Frank's been keeping an eye on Alliance Energy, so that's good. And we were talking about, utilities earlier. I've been checking on LNT. It seems to have a decent team and slowing, converting to renewable energy. Okay. So LNT, just to refresh my memory, I'm not thinking, Alliance. Okay. Alliant Energy. Yeah. Ex-Dividend Dad. Do Nothing Burgers have cheddar or Swiss? Asking for a friend. Well, mine actually have pepper jack. So I don't know if that's a standard or if it's an Alabama thing, but mine actually have pepper jack. Fast Eddie joined the party. Better late than never. Absolutely, my friend. can't knock the AT&T position. He's up 34% with that high yield. Absolutely. I mean, if you add that together, that's because I think they're we're 7% yield or something like that. So 34% plus 7, that ain't so bad, man. Eli says definitely dance in the bee suit. You got it, man. I'm gonna do something like that. I'll have to get somebody else to film it though, because it'll be hard to dance and film at the same time. And Kevin Mendoza says says thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that is my cue to drop off. It's been an hour now. So, I really enjoy this. So let's keep it going. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep doing these on a weekly basis, but I'm also going to do more of the edited videos. So hopefully you'll enjoy those. I'm going to really kind of get this expected value thing honed in and maybe share that in the video as well, if it works. So anyway, join the Discord. Rust Moments reminds us that. And if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to get off of here, and I will see you on the next one.